From rags to riches, the true stories of self-made billionaires. We've all heard the fairy tale, start with nothing, end up with everything. But in reality, very few people climb from poverty to extreme wealth. Even fewer manage to shape industries, influence governments, and stand shoulder to shoulder with the most powerful people on Earth. Tonight, we tell the stories of two men who did exactly that. Two men who began their lives with no safety net, no family dynasties, no inherited empires. One turned a modest loan into the largest industrial conglomerate Africa has ever seen. The other, abandoned as a child and raised without privilege, built one of the most important software companies in history. This is the journey of Aliko Dangote and Larry Ellison, two self-made billionaires who prove that rags to riches isn't just a dream. It's a blueprint for power. Aliko Dangote. Africa's cement king Aliko Dangote was born in 1957 in Kano, Nigeria. His upbringing was modest, rooted in a Muslim family with a tradition of trade. But nothing suggested he would one day dominate Africa's economy. His first break came when his grandfather gave him a small loan to buy and sell commodities like rice and sugar in the local markets. From this humble beginning, Dangote built a trading business. But instead of remaining a middleman, he had bigger plans. In 1977, he founded the Dangote Group. Yet Dangote realized that true power didn't come from imports. It came from production. So he built factories, massive factories, cement plants that could supply entire nations, refineries that could shift the balance of Nigeria's economy. Soon, Dangote Group became the largest industrial empire in Africa. By 2025, Dangote's net worth reached $13 billion, making him the richest man in Africa. But that number alone doesn't capture his influence. He employs tens of thousands, operates across more than 10 African countries, and his businesses produce the cement, sugar, and flour that entire economies depend on. And then came his most ambitious project, the Dangote refinery. Worth $19 billion. This mega-refinery, built outside Lagos, is the largest in Africa. Once fully operational, it could end Nigeria's decades-long dependence on imported fuel, reshaping Africa's energy future. But Dangote's story isn't just about factories and profits. It's also about lifestyle. He owns a $43 million luxury jet. His political influence is unmatched on the continent. Nigerian presidents seek his advice. Candidates seek his financial support. He shapes policies, not just businesses. Internationally, institutions like the IMF and World Bank treat him as Africa's private sector ambassador. US presidents and global leaders meet him not just as a businessman, but as a representative of Africa's future. Dangote also invests heavily in philanthropy. Through the Dangote Foundation, he has donated hundreds of millions to healthcare, education, and poverty reduction. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he pledged $7 million to Nigeria's fight against the virus and funded large-scale relief operations. His philanthropy has helped build hospitals, schools, and infrastructure in some of Africa's poorest regions. From rice markets in Kano to a $20 billion empire, Dangote represents a new era of African wealth, not inherited from colonial ties or foreign investors, but built from within by one man's vision and risk-taking. Larry Ellison. The pirate of Silicon Valley, Larry Ellison's story begins far from wealth. Born in New York in 1944, he was abandoned by his young mother and raised by his aunt and uncle in a working-class Chicago neighborhood. He grew up with no money, no safety net, and few expectations. By his early 20s, Ellison had dropped out of college, not once, but twice. But he had something money couldn't buy: curiosity and obsession with computers. In the 1970s, while working as a programmer, Ellison and two colleagues founded a small company to build a new kind of software databases for businesses. At the time, most people didn't even know what a database was. That company would become Oracle Corporation. Oracle's rise was meteoric. By the 1980s and 1990s, its databases became essential to corporations and governments worldwide. Today, Oracle is worth over $300 billion. Ellison himself, by 2025, amassed a fortune of $150 billion. Unlike Dangote, Ellison has never hidden his wealth. He owns Lanai Island in Hawaii, which he purchased for $300 million. That's right, an entire island. His vision? To turn it into a sustainable utopia powered by clean energy and organic farming. He also owns the Musashi, one of the world's largest private yachts, worth over $130 million. His real estate portfolio spans dozens of properties across California, including a $200 million estate in Malibu. And for air travel, Ellison's fleet includes not only luxury jets, but even a decommissioned fighter plane. But Ellison's power isn't just in luxury. He is known as Silicon Valley's pirate, ruthless, competitive, and bold. He mentored young entrepreneurs, backed startups, and even invested in Tesla during its early, shaky years, long before it became the giant we know today. His reach extends into politics. Ellison has been a major donor to U.S. campaigns, supporting candidates aligned with his vision of strong national security and technological dominance. Ellison also supports global health research. He has pledged billions toward cancer research and cutting-edge medical projects, positioning himself not only as a business titan, but as a philanthropist aiming to extend human life. From abandoned child to Silicon Valley's pirate king, Ellison is proof that sometimes the ultimate outsider ends up controlling the game. What do Dangote and Ellison have in common? On the surface, they live in different worlds. One rules African industry, the other rules Silicon Valley. But both share the same story arc: ordinary beginnings, extraordinary ambition. Dangote took a family loan and built factories that transformed Africa's economy. Ellison took his programming skills and built software that transformed the digital backbone of the world. Both turned disadvantages into fuel. Both created wealth where none existed before. And both now stand as gatekeepers of power in their respective regions. It's not just money they hold. It's political leverage, industrial control, and the ability to influence the future of entire nations. What do Dangote and Ellison have in common? On the surface, they live in different worlds. One rules African industry, the other rules Silicon Valley. But both share the same story arc: ordinary beginnings, extraordinary ambition. Dangote took a family loan and built factories that transformed Africa's economy. Aliko Dangote and Larry Ellison are living proof that wealth is not always inherited. True power can be built from scratch. Dangote represents the possibility of Africa rising through homegrown industry. He proved that a boy from Kano could grow up to shape the destiny of nations. Ellison represents the Silicon Valley dream, the dropout who challenged giants and ended up building his own empire. From the poorest streets of Chicago to an island in Hawaii, his journey shows how rebellion, vision, and relentless drive can rewrite destiny. Different continents, different industries, different styles of wealth, but the same truth. The rags to riches story isn't just possible, it's still happening today. And the final lesson? Self-made billionaires don't just change their lives. They change the balance of power in the world itself. If you want more stories of wealth, power, and influence like this video, share it and subscribe to Crown Syndicate. Because understanding who really runs the world is the first step to understanding how it actually works.